Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you all to the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum's virtual programming. This is our virtual Intrepid Adventure programming. My name is Franz. I'm a museum educator at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum, along with my colleague Alicia, who is paying attention to what we're saying in the comments and things like that. We'd like to welcome you to the Intrepid Museum's new live virtual programming. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing your questions throughout the program, and we'll try to address as many as we can. And the museum's live streams are free. And if you would like to support us in delivering this exciting content, please click on the link in the description. And once again, my name is Franz. Today we'll be doing our Flying in Style virtual Intrepid Adventure program. Before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, you can let us know in the comments if you've ever visited the Intrepid physically, if you've ever visited the Intrepid virtually. We love to know, and we love to know where you all are beaming in from. So let us know in the comments if you've ever visited virtually or in person. All right. Now today we're going to be doing our Flying in Style program. Right now. Planes can fly. That's really, really important, but it's also important to have them look nice while they do it. So today we're going to be talking about markings on airplanes and the significance and the importance behind these markings, right? Now, in order to do this, we are going to look at a video of the ship, right? And so I'm going to add this here, and we see now this is a model of the Intrepid, right? And if you look closely, you can let me know in the comments if you can tell what this model is made out of, right? We can see lots of different things at the top of the model, but just to put everything in perspective for you all, the Intrepid is an aircraft carrier, right? From 1943. It was made specifically for World War III, and it was made in about 17 months. It's 913 feet long. That means that if you took it and you stood it up on its end, it'd almost be as tall as a New York City skyscraper, right? It's almost 3 football fields long. And because of its length, width, and height, it's actually a gigantic ship, bigger actually than the Titanic, right? So this ship is gigantic, and its main goal was to launch and land airplanes on the flight deck, right? Right above where we are kind of standing in the ship right now, right? Now, if you look closely, you might notice that these planes and the ship itself is actually made entirely out of Legos. 250,000 Lego pieces. Look at that, right? So many Lego pieces that it took an entire year to build, right? Now, before we begin our journey today, I need everyone to do me a favor. In the comments, I just would like you to write down your favorite sports team. If you have a favorite sports team, it can be a famous professional sports team. It can be a famous professional basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, right? It can even be one of the teams at your school, right? It can be whatever your team's mascot is, right? So I want you all to write down your favorite team, right? And write down their name into the comments, right? And then what I want you to do is after you write that down, I want you to think about the logo of that team, right? And think if you can kind of make that logo in your head, right? Like for instance, for me, my favorite baseball team is the New York Mets. Please be kind to me in the comments, right? And if I think about the Mets logo, I can think of the Whitestone Bridge, right? I can think of the skyline, right, behind the bridge. I can think of the blue and the orange of the colors of the Mets on the logo, right? And that's distinguishable about the Mets, right? That logo means the Mets. So think about your favorite sports team and think about what makes the logo special, right? And we'll talk about why that's important later, right? Now, as you can see, there are people here. There have been sailors here on Intrepid, and these sailors had a little bit of flair, and they added that flair to some of their planes, as we're going to see today, right? So what we're going to do is walk through this main level of the Intrepid, right? This area here is known as the hangar deck or the hangar level, and the hangar level is essentially like a big gigantic garage, right? It's where we are going to store the planes and get the planes ready for takeoff before they go upstairs, right? Now, when we walk down this way, we come across my favorite airplane here. And it's interesting that I use this airplane. It's my slowest airplane or second slowest airplane here at the museum, but this is the Avenger, and it's really good at kind of examining it because it's the oldest airplane, right? It's the first airplane that we would have had that we have here in our collection. So it's really cool to start by looking at this plane. So when we look at this plane, you guys can write some of your first observations when you look at it, right? Because it is pretty distinguishable, right? And it is a pretty cool looking plane. But this is a version of a plane that's similar to the Avengers, just to show you kind of what the planes looked like back then, right? And what I want you to do is notice on the tail and notice different markings that are on the planes. This here is what we call a Hellcat. This is one of the planes that we would have had on Intrepid. Now, during World War II, the Intrepid would have had 100 of these planes, and the Avengers stored between the hangar deck and the flight deck, right? And it was important to keep these with the markings, right, that we had of the time. So if we look here, we can see this. And you all can let me know in the comments what you think this symbol means, what it signifies, right? We see this white stripe, and we also see a white star, right? And it's surrounded by this navy blue color. You all can let me know in the comments what we think this symbolizes, right? Now, if you said the United States of America, you would be correct. This symbolizes the US, right? But if you didn't get the United States at first, I don't blame you. And the reasoning is because there's something missing here, right? What is missing on this symbol? If it's supposed to represent the United States, what would you put on there, right? What's missing? There's something missing here, a very key element. And I see some folks in the comments have wrote the United States Air Force. Now, very, very close. It's very, very close. This symbol does represent the United States, but this one's more specific to the Navy, right? The United States Navy. The Navy is pretty much the branch of the military that's in the water, right? That's doing all the water stuff on ships. But if I was making this to mean the United States of America, I would put the color red because our colors are red, white, and blue, right? And you might think that they left the color red out, but believe it or not, they actually had red in it a long time ago. And I'll show you what the sign initially looked like. The logo for the United States Navy. Now, during World War II, as I said before, the Avenger is going to be fighting during World War II. It's going to be fighting in the Pacific part of the war. And in that part of the war, they were fighting against the Japanese Navy. So you can see here, if we look at this Avenger has this symbol on it, and we can see that it has a big red dot in the middle, signifying red, white, and blue. Ladies and gentlemen, the name of a logo on a plane is called a roundel, right? Roundel, right? And roundels are specific to certain countries, right? So we can see this roundel here, meaning the United States of America, red, white, and blue with the star, right? But if we look at who the United States was going against in this part of the war, we'll notice that it's very, very similar, as you can see here. Now, I like to think of this like if you are familiar with basketball, when basketball teams play, sometimes the colors are very, very similar. And for this reason, home teams wear their white jerseys and away teams wear their colored jerseys. So that way they don't get mistaken on the court, right? The colors don't clash, right? And that's actually why they got rid of that red dot. It's because they didn't want to look like the enemy's planes and confuse the aviators, right? Now, speaking of roundels, it's important to talk about other countries' roundels. So right now, I have a roundel challenge for you all. And what we'll do is I'm going to show you all a roundel, and then I'm going to show you all two flags, right? If you all think the roundel represents the country on the left side on the screen, you're going to write the letter A. If you think it represents the country on the right side of the screen, you're going to write the letter B. Okay? So let's try this first one out here. So we have this. This is the roundel, right? And so I want you all to think which country this roundel could belong to, right? And I'll show you all these two flags here. So if you think it's Australia, I want you to write the letter A in the comments. If you think it's New Zealand, I want you to write the letter B in the comments, right? Look at the colors, look at signs, look at things of significance in this roundel that would tell you it belonged to that specific country, right? So I'm looking in the comments right now and I'm seeing some A's. All right, I see some A's, some folks saying Australia. All right. Give you guys a couple more seconds to key in your answers, and we'll see now that the answer is A, Australia. And we can see, although on the flag, it doesn't really show anything that we saw, the colors match. And also, if you know what Australia is very, very famous for, it's kangaroos. That's why on that roundel, we see a kangaroo. Now, New Zealand's roundel looks a little something like this. Similar colors, but that symbol in the middle is a kiwi, right? A little bird, flightless bird, and that's the national bird of New Zealand. So that's why that's on the roundel. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, at any time you have any questions, feel free to type them into the comments. We will see them, and we'll do a question break in a little bit just to answer your questions. So if you have any questions about anything at any time, type it into the comments, okay? Let's do another one. Let's check out this roundel. Okay, so this one, a little yellow, red, blue. There's a star in the middle, right? So which country does this one belong to? Is it Zambia? So write A for Zambia, or write B for Colombia. Which one is this? Is it A or B? Right? And if we look at this, the color schemes are a bit different, right? Zambia has this kind of a golden bird on it, right? But Colombia has these colors, yellow, blue, and red. And I see some B's kind of being written into the comments. So let's see what this is. So we look at it and the answer is Colombia. This is the Zambian roundel here. And as we can see, it still has that bird, right? It has the same color scheme as well. Great job. All right, let's try this one. This is the next one. So we have this one right here at the top. Do we think that's A, Ireland, or B, Jamaica, right? And once again, very distinctive colors on this one, right? So which one are we going to say this one is? Is it A or B? I see lots of B's rolling in, so let's check this out. And we can see that this roundel belongs to Jamaica, right? And this, to me, is one of the coolest roundels. This is the Irish roundel. Look at that. It's kind of like swirled in there with those three prominent colors. Kind of has that that sign in the middle, which makes it look very, very appealing, right? Looks sleek, right? Next, we have this one. So we see some red boxes and some white boxes, right? Let's see which country this belongs to. We have two flags here. A is Poland and B is Canada, right? So look at the different markings on it, right? Think A, Poland, B, Canada. Which country does this roundel belong to? Right? Once again, look at the colorings, the markings, the patterns, right? So I see some A's rolling on in. Some A's. Okay, cool. A's. So let's see. When we look here, the answer is Poland. So Poland's roundel. And we can probably see that being the case because Poland had those, it's pretty boxy, and so was the roundel. But if we look here at Canada's roundel, we can see that very distinctive maple leaf, right? And we can see that on the flag as well as seeing it on the roundel, right? So I think there might just be one more. Okay, so this is the last one. And this is probably the hardest one. And I put it last for a reason. Let's see if you all can guess which country this roundel belongs to. So we have two countries here. We have Kenya and Jordan. Both have very similar colors. Both have red, black, white, and green. One has a star, one has something that looks like a shield and some spheres behind it, right? So which one? Is it A or is it B? And now I'm seeing some A's roll in for Kenya. Any B's for Jordan? All right, let's see. And the answer is this roundel belongs to Kenya. Good job. It belongs to Kenya because this is the roundel for Jordan, right? And we can see that it has this 6-point star here, unlike the other roundel that we saw. Right, so we can see these roundels have very distinctive characteristics, right, which makes us able to figure out where they're from, right? Now, before we continue, we're going to talk about another part of the roundels. But are there any questions? Any questions at all for? Oh, and I see there's a question here. Let me just go here. Are all roundels circles? No, they are not. A lot of them tend to be roundels, hence the name roundels, right? They tend to be these circles. But as we saw with Poland, Poland actually has a square, and I've actually seen ones that look like kind of shields. So most of them are circles, but they can be other ones as well. And do roundels always stay the same? I'm assuming that means in terms of throughout time for the entire country, for that country. No, they can change. As we saw with the American roundel, as we're going to see now, actually, the American roundel changed several times throughout history. So the roundels can change, right? All right. So I guess we can take a couple questions. Now let's move on. Let's go check out some more stuff with the planes here. So right behind the Avenger, we have a jet-powered plane known as the Fury. And the Fury kind of takes a different approach when we look at the artwork on the plane, right? When we look at the plane's painting itself, the plane's mostly gray, but it has this very distinguishing yellow lightning bolt on it, right? That makes it look very, very appealing. And that was done on purpose, right? Now, if we look here, we can now see what the roundel looks like, right? For the United States. So now our roundel looks like the star, right, in a blue background with white on it, but now it has red on it, just not in the form of a red dot. Now it kind of has this band of red going through it, and this is actually what we see with some Navy planes today. Although a lot of them have low visibility, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But going back to that lightning bolt, if we go back just a little bit here, we can see this lightning bolt. This lightning bolt tells us something else. Whereas the blue Avenger was pretty nice looking, it lacked individuality. But now pilots could put cooler things in their planes to make them even more distinguished from the other jets that are there. Right. So, for instance, the Furies, they have this yellow lightning bolt on it. And I like to think of this kind of like how when we look at sports athletes, there's some sports athletes who wear distinguishing things on the court or on the field, right? They may wear certain sunglasses. They might wear armbands or sleeves or other things to show their individuality. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing on these airplanes, showing their individuality using different paint schemes and different pieces of artwork, right? Now, even this right here is low visibility paint, right? And this is what planes look like more so today. Lots of planes look like this because it's harder for people to spot them using this paint. And because of this, the roundel also kind of has this grayish tint to it. And so it doesn't really have those colors in it, but it's just done for low visibility. But if you're as into sports as me, you might know that in certain games, what they do is they wear older jerseys to kind of commemorate people who came before them on the team. And so that's actually what they do sometimes in the Navy as well. They take these more high-tech, more modern planes, and they paint them in the schemes of planes of the past. So we can see here, this is a Falcon that was painted with the markings of an Avenger airplane. So you can see it has the blue, it has the white on the other side for camouflage, just to camouflage this jet plane. But they were just doing this for show. And like I said before, they were just doing it to commemorate people and pilots and planes that came before this one in particular. Right? Now, there's another logo that are on some planes that we see. And this logo is we can see it here with our Skyhawk. Now, the Skyhawk here is a very special plane at the Intrepid. All of the planes and most of the planes and helicopters, we'll see a couple that actually never took off from Intrepid. But most of these planes that took off from Intrepid, that you see at the Intrepid Museum, once took off and landed from the Intrepid. Those types of planes, not those individual ones, right? So when we just saw the Avenger and the Fury, that Avenger and that Fury did not take off from the Intrepid. But this Skyhawk, the one that we're looking at right here, is the only plane that if you came to the Intrepid that you would see that actually physically took off and landed from Intrepid a while back in Vietnam, right? So the Skyhawk is a very cool, fast plane, right? But the Skyhawk also has this paint job on it. You all can write in the comments what you think that is painted on the Skyhawk, right? Now, even within a team, right? And we can think about football usually with this because football is a really good analogy for this. But in football, right, you have one team. But even on that one team, you have two separate teams. Sometimes you even have three separate teams, right? You have the offense, you have the defense, you have special teams, right? So you have three different teams doing doing different jobs to achieve the same goal. And so on a ship, we call those squadrons, right? They're a team of pilots that fly a certain plane, and they basically have a job of their own, right? And you have different squadrons flying off of the same aircraft carrier, trying to achieve the same mission. But just because they're on the same aircraft carrier doesn't mean that they have the same individuality, right? So they have different squadron logo art on their planes. So if you look at this plane, you can see exactly what the squadron logo is for this one. It's green. It's at the top. It's at the top and bottom there, right? But we can see it closer on the bottom there. We can see that it is a green lizard. And ladies and gentlemen, the name of the squadron that flew these planes, the Green Lizards, right? Now, this is what the patch looked like. This is what their Squadron Patch looked like. So not only did you have a logo on your plane, you also wore a patch on your clothes. So this is one of the patches that they would have had for this squadron. It's very fierce looking. You can see a lot of people say it looks like Godzilla, or it looks like an alligator holding a gigantic fork or a trident, right? We can see the sun setting in the background. You can see the ocean. This is very, very descriptive and very, very has a lot of detail, right? As opposed to what we saw on the plane, right? You all can let me know in the comments, why do you think the plane doesn't look as detailed as that patch did, right? For instance, we're going to go a little bit closer down here. You can see the simplicity of this green lizard here. And there's two main reasons why this kind of looks a little simplistic, right? Kind of the light version of that logo, right? Well, the main reason is because it's hard to paint, right? To paint all of that detail will take a long time to paint on several different airplanes, right? And you wanted them to look uniform, so you had to make it so that this kind of looked like that, right? But then another reason why is because you don't want too much paint on your plane, because even that paint adds a bit of weight to the plane, which makes it a little bit harder to get off of the flight deck. Right, so that's the reason why the paint kind of looks like that for the Skyhawk here with the green lizards Squadron logo on it. All right. Now, we're going to go upstairs and check out some more artwork on other planes upstairs on the flight deck. Before we go up, though, I just want to see if there's any questions that I can answer that we all have been. Oh, did the pilots actually paint the planes? In some cases, they did. When it came to pretty much painting the entire plane, like for instance, the way that we saw the paint that was painted, the plane that was painted, the Avenger that was painted blue and white, that was done pretty much by Navy painters, right? But when it came to the individual markings on the planes, such as the lightning bolts and things like that, they did let the pilots paint that on their own individual planes. Any more questions? Can you write words on the plane? Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, this helicopter that we're looking at right here has the names of the pilots on it. And so you can decorate it with their names on it just so people know who flew the plane. There's several planes here at the museum that actually have the pilots' names kind of painted on the side as well. All right. So let's go upstairs, shall we? Now, if we are here at the Intrepid and we want to go upstairs, we'll take the stairs, right, or the elevator. If the planes wanted to get upstairs, they would use the aircraft elevator. So that's kind of what we just did there, right? And then we come here immediately to a very cool looking plane that has distinguishable markings on it. You all can let me know in the comments if you know what type of plane this is, right? You can see some of the writing on the side there, and you can let me know if you've ever seen these planes fly. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, these are the Blue Angels, right? And what are the Blue Angels? Well, the Blue Angels are a squadron of stunt pilots from the Navy, and they pretty much are just showing off the type of training that Navy pilots get in order to fly in the Navy and fly off of aircraft carriers. So they are very, very known for doing these really cool tight formations. As you can see here, this is not the same plane that we just saw. The plane that we're going to see it again, it's called a Tiger, but these are called Hornets, right? And Hornets are painted with the markings of the Blue Angels, right? Oh, someone in the comments knew that was F-18 Hornet. Now, this is a Tiger, right? But if we look here, we can see on its logo on the Blue Angels plane here, right? We have the Blue Angels flying among the clouds, right? We can even see Naval Air Training Command on it with an aircraft carrier with the Navy wings there. And we can see Blue Angel. As a matter of fact, the blue that we see here is known as Blue Angels blue. Right? This is a distinct blue color that's painted with airplanes that painted in the Navy painted with this color, right? So this plane, very, very noticeable, very, very famous for this paint job, right? Now, right behind it, we have the Cougar, right? And the Cougar has a very interesting logo on it right here. Let me know if you've ever seen this logo, if you know what this logo means. I mean, looking at it kind of looks a little intimidating, right? This logo is known as the Jolly Rogers sign, right? It's very, very famous. You might have seen it in pirate movies and books and things of that nature. But this sign was used for this particular squadron on Intrepid. But you might be wondering, how did this squadron get this logo, right? How did they get this one, this very common sign, right? You would think a lot of people will want this, right? Well, that's the thing. At one time, only one squadron can have this logo. But when that squadron is retired, then that logo is up for grabs and someone can use it again. So that's why this logo has been used several times, right? Because it's very common because it looks so fierce. We can actually see some Cougars flying off of a flight deck with the same Jolly Rogers sign here off the Intrepid. Now, right across from the Cougar, we have this plane here, right? And looking at its roundel, does anyone want to take a guess what country this plane comes from? We can see its roundel is a white circle with a 6-point star a blue 6-point star inside of it, right? If we look at the paint markings of this aircraft too, we can see that it looks like, and you can let me know in the comments, it looks like a camouflage plane. What do you think it might camouflage with, right? And what type of terrain do you think it's flown, right? I see some comments in the comment section here saying Israel. Is that what we think, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, right? We can see that 6-point star there, and it resembles the flag of Israel, right? So this is Israeli jet plane. And yes, this one's flown usually in the deserts. As a matter of fact, this plane is very special at the Intrepid because it's the only plane that you'd find 2 roundel markings on it. And that's because this plane was flown by both the Israeli Air Force, and it also was flown by the United States in test flight simulations. So if you look kind of closely, you can see that blue marking of the plane, of the roundel, the blue circle, but in this one, the star is brown because of the paint underneath it, right? And that's the American roundel there, right? Now, Kafir, that's what it's called. The plane's called. That's what it means. It means lion cub, which I think it's awesome. But Kafirs are flown, as I said before, were flown by the Israeli Air Force and also by the Navy as well. So you can see it here with the United States markings on it, as well as the Israeli markings, right? Now, this helicopter here is very special. It has a Navy marking on it. But if we look over here, we can see another sign. We can see some anchors, some white anchors. We see this kind of a shield that has red, white, and blue on it. We see United States Coast Guard, Semper Paratus, and then 1790, right? So this is the roundel for the United States Coast Guard. It looks a little bit different than the United States Navy, right? The Coast Guards, they're the ones in charge of saving people from the ocean, right? So that's why they have the anchors on theirs as well, right? So you can see the Sea Guardian here before it's landing in the water, dropping someone down. The Sea Guardian also had a basket that you can drop down that you can save people from the ocean with as well. Now, right across from our helicopter, we have this plane. Now, getting closer to this plane, we can see the stripes on the side. We can also look at its roundel. And I want you all in the comments to let me know which country you think this plane belongs to. Just by looking at its roundel, we saw some other colors on it. There's red, there's green, there's white, right? Which country do we think this roundel belongs to? There's a couple of countries that have this color in their flags. And I'll let you all, we can actually go back just so that way we can kind of see it a bit more again. So we see the entire plane, right? If we would like a clue, we can look at the back of the tail and kind of see something written there. You might be able to guess what language that is. And I see a guess in the comments there. Yeah, this is an Italian plane, right? This is the Italian roundel on this plane, which is called the Aermacchi, right? And the Aermacchi is a cool plane. It's a trainer plane. It's what you train to learn on in the Italian Navy. But also, they use the Aermacchis the same way that we use the Blue Angels. So you can see here the Aermacchi's flying in formation because they're the stunt pilots for the Italian Navy. Right? And we can see them there with the 3 colors coming out in the smoke on one of their shows. Now, that's it for the planes shown other countries. Actually, we're going to go up over here. You're going to see one of the slogans for the Italian Navy pretty much means 3 colored arrows. So you can see the 3 colored arrows there on the nose of the plane, right? Now, right across from this, we have this cool airplane, one of the coolest airplanes at the museum because of its capabilities. This plane that is kind of looks like the Marine markings. This is the Harrier jet the Harrier jump jet. Now, most planes, when you see them, they have to go down a runway, so they build up speed and then they take off, right? Helicopters, though, don't need to do that. They can take off and land from a standing location. This is called vertical takeoff and landing because they go straight up and come straight back down, right? The Harrier jump jet can do the same thing. So it is also a VTOL aircraft. But when we look at it, once again, we can see there's a Squadron logo there, Squadron insignia there, that looks like a very, very common thing, right? This thing resembles a playing card, an Ace of Spades, right? And this is one of the oldest squadrons around, right? I believe this squadron is from World War II, and they've still been around since World War II. The Ace of Spades, right? VMA 231, right? And we're going to see right here the jump jet kind of doing its thing. You can see those vents kind of angled down, pushing down so the jump jet can actually go up. And then you can see on the front there, next to where it says 18 on the close to the nose, you can see the Ace of Spade insignia right there in the front. Also on the exhaust, you can actually see the low visibility roundel of the United States Navy as well. Now, there's one last thing I want to show you guys on a very cool airplane. This one's probably the most popular, or one of the most popular planes at the museum, just because of its marking specifically. Now, sometimes when you have your airplane, you just want to kind of make people a little bit nervous when they see your plane, as we saw with the lightning bolt and with the Jolly Rogers insignia, right? But when we come down here to our Crusader, which is a jet-powered plane, a supersonic jet-powered plane, we can see it looks like a shark, right? So the Crusader here has the markings here on the front of a shark, and we call this nose art. That's actually what we call that lightning bolt on the Fury as well, because it's close to the nose of the plane. So if you have nose art, you gotta have tail art, right? So let's go check out some tail art on the back of the Crusader. So when we come over here, sorry, I was actually hopping over the fence in this video. When we come over here, we can see this on the back. So we see some words, we see some letters, we see some numbers, we see some colors, right? So when we look at the word stiletto, a stiletto is a very, very sharp blade, right? And that's what's actually at the top of that, right at the very top is a blade kind of with eyes. And then down here on the bottom, kind of going along the tail there, you have what looks like the sun setting, right? And that's because the squadron who flew this plane was known as the Sundowners, because they were fighting the land of the rising sun, or Japan. So they put this color on the back of their tail to show this individuality, right? So going through and looking at all of these planes, right, we saw different roundels, we saw different squadron insignias, and we even saw different markings and colors of the plane. And all of this stuff gave these planes a little bit more character, right, and a little bit more oomph as they were flying through the sky, right? So I just want to see if there's any more questions before we finish our program for today. But let's see. What other types of planes have been flown in the Blue Angels? So I just actually found out, myself and Alicia just found out right before this program started, that the Cougar actually was a Blue Angels plane. So I'll show you. So we found out that this plane here was a Blue Angels plane. We also found out that, I'm going to see if I can show you. It might be kind of hard to show you. We also found out that this plane over here was a Blue Angels one, the one that's right next to the Crusader. I'd see if I can, this one here, which is known as the Phantom, a gigantic one, which to me, if you actually saw how big the Phantom was, you would actually see why I think it's kind of crazy, because all the other ones are very, very small and very, very maneuverable. This one's huge, but it was also used in the Blue Angels. And Hornets were also used in the Blue Angels as well. All right. What is the smoke that comes out of the Blue Angels planes? Great question. So the smoke, it's actually not a real smoke. It's like not anything dangerous here. I'm going to show you guys the picture here again, so we can see. Oops, sorry, jumping around a bit here. So the smoke that comes out of there, that's actually just colored smoke. It's actually not. It's not harmful to the environment. It's not even real smoke. It just looks really cool when they're flying in the sky. Same thing with the Aermacchi planes as well. Does the museum ever paint the planes on display? Yes, we do. Not in any way that we want. We usually do them in historically accurate ways. For instance, these planes that you see here, some of them were actually painted by the museum aircraft restoration team. As a matter of fact, this gray plane that we see kind of on the side here next to the Aermacchi, when we first got this plane, I loved it. It was really, really cool. It had a lion kind of on top of a bomb painting along the side, and the whole plane was white. We wanted to paint it more accurately to what it looked like in Vietnam, and it's this gorgeous gray color that we painted it here. So sometimes we paint planes to make them look historically accurate. Another plane that was very interesting, you can't really see it in this video because it's pretty far, but right out down to the end there, right past the Crusader, the one that looks like a shark, there's a plane that's green, kind of has like this jungle color on it. Let's see if we can get closer to the Crusader so we can see it a little bit better. So you can see this one that says 4105 right here right there in the back. That plane, when we first got it, had a tiger painted on it, and the tiger was like extended all the way down the plane, like an elongated tiger. But we wanted to paint it to look more accurate to what it looked like in Vietnam. So we painted it with that jungle camouflage. Yep. And I think that's it for questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all so much for joining me for this virtual Intrepid adventure today. Thank you so much for sharing your questions and your comments. The museum has introduced a number of new live streams, so please be sure to follow and subscribe to this channel or visit our website for the latest streaming schedule. Links can be found below in the description. And if you're able to, your donations of any amount help keep these programs free at low cost. So please explore doing that, or explore becoming a member online. And join us this Thursday when we explore landing on the moon with our Lunar Landers program. We'd love to see you guys come back here at the same time, same place. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.